Letter 147 by Charles Lamb. Feb. 20, 21 and 22, 1806. My dear Sarah, I have heard that Coleridge was lately going through Sicily to Rome with a party, but that being unwell, he returned back to Naples. We think there is some mistake in this account, and that his intended journey to Rome was in his former jaunt to Naples. If you know that at that time he had any such intention, will you write instantly? For I do not know whether I ought to write to Mrs. Coleridge or not. I am going to make a sort of promise to myself and to you that I will write you kind of journal-like letters of the daily what we do matters, as they occur. This day seems to me a kind of new era in our time. It is not a birthday, nor a New Year's Day, nor a leave-off smoking day, but it is about an hour after the time of leaving you, our poor Phoenix, in the Salisbury stage, and Charles has just left me for the first time to go to his lodgings, and I am holding a solitary consultation with myself as to how I shall employ myself. Writing plays, novels, poems, and all manner of such-like vaporing and vaporish schemes are floating in my head, which at the same time aches with the thought of parting from you, and is perplexed at the idea of I cannot tell what about notion that I have not made you half so comfortable as I ought to have done, and a melancholy sense of the dull prospect you have before you on your return home. Then I think I will make my new gown, and now I consider the white petticoat will be better candlelight worth. And then I look at the fire, and think, if the irons was but down, I would iron my gowns, you having put me out of conceit of mangling. So much for an account of my own confused head, and now for yours. Returning home from the inn, we took that to pieces, and canvassed you, as you know is our usual custom. We agreed we should miss you sadly, and that you had been, what you yourself discovered, not at all in our way. And although, if the postmaster should happen to open this, it would appear to him to be no great compliment, yet you, who enter so warmly into the interior of our affairs, will understand and value it, as well as what we likewise asserted, that since you have been with us you have done but one foolish thing, vidi pincorn, excuse my bad Latin, if it should chance to mean exactly contrary to what I intend. We praised you for the very friendly way in which you regarded all our whimsies, and to use a phrase of Coleridge's, understood us. We had, in short, no drawback on our eulogy on your merit, except lamenting the want of respect you have to yourself, the want of a certain dignity of action, you know what I mean, which, though it only broke out in the acceptance of the old justice's book, and was, as it were, smothered and almost extinct while you were here, yet is so native, feeling in your mind that you will do whatever the present moment prompts you to do, that I wish you would take that one slight offense seriously to heart, and make it a part of your daily consideration to drive this unlucky propensity, root and branch, out of your character. Then, mercy on us, what a perfect little gentlewoman you will be. You are not yet arrived at the first stage of your journey, yet have I the sense of your absence so strong upon me that I was really thinking what news I had to send you and what had happened since you had left us. Truly nothing, except that Martin Burney met us in Lincoln's Inn Fields and borrowed 4d, of the repayment of which sum I will send you due notice. Friday, Feb. 21, 1806. Last night I told Charles of your matrimonial overtures from Mr. White, and of the cause of that business being at a standstill. Your generous conduct in acquainting Mr. White with the vexatious affair at Malta highly pleased him. He entirely approves of it. You would be quite comforted to hear what he said on the subject. He wishes you success, and when Coleridge comes, will consult with him about what is best to be done. But I charge you, be most strictly cautious how you proceed yourself. Do not give Mr. W. any reason to think you indiscreet. Let him return of his own accord, and keep the probability of his doing so full in your mind. So I mean, as to regulate your whole conduct by that expectation. Do not allow yourself to see, or in any way renew your acquaintance with William, nor do not do any other silly thing of that kind, for you may depend upon it, he will be a kind of spy upon you, and if he observes nothing that he disapproves of, you will certainly hear of him again in time. Charles is gone to finish the farce, and I am to hear it read this night. I am so uneasy between my hopes and fears of how I shall like it, that I do not know what I am doing. I need not tell you so, for before I send this, I shall be able to tell you all about it. If I think it will amuse you, I will send you a copy. The bed was very cold last night. Feb 21, 22. I have received your letter, and am happy to hear that your mother has been so well in your absence, which I wish had been prolonged a little, for you have been wanted to copy out the farce, in the writing of which I made many an unlucky blunder. The said farce I carried, after many consultations of who was the most proper person to perform so important an office, to Rotten, the manager of Drury Lane. He was very civil to me, said it did not depend upon himself, but that he would put it into the proprietor's hands, and that we should certainly have an answer from them. I have been unable to finish this sheet before, for Charles has taken a week's holidays from his lodging to rest himself after his labor, and we have talked tonight of nothing but the farce night and day. But yesterday I carried it to Rotten, and, since it has been out of the way, our minds have been a little easier. I wish you had been with us to have given your opinion. I have half a mind to scribble another copy and send it you. I like it very much, and cannot help having great hopes of its success. I would say I was very sorry for the death of Mr. White's father, but not knowing the good old gentleman, I cannot help being as well satisfied that he is gone, for his son will feel rather lonely, and so perhaps he may chance to visit again Winterslow. You so well describe your brother's grave lecturing letter that you make me ashamed of part of mine. I would fain rewrite it, leaving out my sage advice. But if I begin another letter, something may fall out to prevent me from finishing it, and therefore skip over it as well as you can. It shall be the last I ever send you. It is well enough, when one is talking to a friend, to hedge in an odd word by way of counsel now and then, but there is something mighty irksome in its staring upon one in a letter, where one ought only to see kind words and friendly remembrances. I have heard a vague report from the Daws, the pleasant-looking young lady we called upon was Miss Daw, that Coleridge returned back to Naples. They are to make further enquiries, and let me know the particulars. We have seen little or nothing of Manning since you went. Your friend George Burnett calls as usual, for Charles to point out something for him. I miss you sadly, and but for the fidget I have been in about the farce, I should have missed you still more. I am sorry you cannot get your money. Continue to tell us all your perplexities, and do not mind being called Widow Blackacre. Say all in your mind about your lover, now Charles knows of it. He will be as anxious to hear as me. All the time we can spare from talking of the characters and plot of the farce, we talk of you. I have got a fresh bottle of brandy today. If you were here, you should have a glass, 3 parts brandy, so you should. I bought a pound of bacon today, not so good as yours. I wish the little caps were finished. I am glad the medicines and the cordials bore the fatigue of their journey so well. I promise you I will write often and not mind the postage. God bless you. Charles does not send his love because he is not here. Yours affectionately, M. Lamb. Write as often as ever you can. Do not work too hard. Mr. Hazlitt dates this letter April, thinking that Mary Lamb's pen slipped when she wrote February 21 halfway through. But I think February must be right, because one Miss Stoddart has only just left, and Lamb tells Hazlitt in January that she is staying a week or so longer. April would make this time 3 months. And 2, Lamb has told Hazlitt on February 19 that his farce is finished. Coleridge left Malta for Rome on September 21, 1805. He was probably at Naples from October 1805 to the end of January 1806, when he went to Rome, remaining there until May 18. Writing to Mrs. Clarkson on March 2, 1806, Dorothy Wordsworth quotes from a letter written on February 25 by Mary Lamb to Mrs. St. Coleridge, and containing this passage, "My brother has received a letter from Stoddart dated December 26, in which he tells him that Coleridge was then at Naples. We have also heard from a Mr. Daw that a friend of his had received a letter of the same date, which mentioned Coleridge having been lately traveling towards Rome with a party of gentlemen, but that he changed his mind and returned back to Naples. Stoddart says nothing more than that he was driven to Naples in consequence of the French having taken possession of Trieste." See the Athenum, January 23, 1904. V.D. Pinkhorn. I cannot explain this unless a Justice Pinkhorn had ogled Sarah Stoddart and offered her a present of a book. Mary Lamb, by the way, some years later taught Latin to William Hazlitt, Jr., Sarah's son. Martin Charles Burney, the son of Captain Burney, born in 1788, a devoted admirer of the Lambs to the end. He was now only 18. We shall often meet him again. Mr. White was not Lamb's friend James White. Winterslow in Wiltshire, about 6 miles from Salisbury, was a small property belonging to Sarah Stoddart. Widow Blackacre, in Wycherley's plain dealer, a busybody and persistent litigant.